The Clean BC Go Electric Fleets program is one of a suite of programs offered under the province's Clean BC Go Electric program. As the name suggests, its focus is on fleet operators. The program is jointly funded by National Resources Canada and the province of British Columbia. Recently, significant changes have been made to the program, and therefore we thought it was appropriate to put out a new guidance video to help you understand recent changes to the rebates. The approach that we are taking is from the applicant's perspective, and because the rebates are different depending on what type of organization is applying, we are going to make 3 videos, one for each of the 3 applicant tracks available. There is a standard rebate offering, plus additional rebates for Indigenous and public sector organizations. In this track, we will be focusing on the standard rebate offering for municipalities, businesses, and nonprofits. If you are an Indigenous organization or BC public sector organization, please find the video that is appropriate for your type of organization. The Go Electric Fleets program offering consists of a combination of non-financial support resources and financial support in the form of rebates. The non-financial support resources come in the form of ZEV Fleets Advisor, as well as fleet tools and guidance available on the program website. The advisor is a resource to help you overcome technical and regulatory challenges to adopting zero-emission vehicles in your organization. They can be reached at fleets@pluginbc.ca. Now let's begin with the financial support component of this program. The first 2 categories support the planning of fleet electrification, and the latter 2 categories support getting infrastructure in place to support fleet electrification. The first category, and typically first step to electrifying an organization's fleet, is to complete a fleet assessment. Organizations will want to complete a fleet assessment to plan their future vehicle replacements and determine whether it is both operationally feasible and economically viable to replace existing fleet vehicles with zero-emission vehicles. A fleet assessment can be done in one of 2 ways, either with the use of telematics or without telematics. Telematics are GPS trackers that you can install in your existing fleet to track vehicle utilization, fuel consumption, and dwell time at specific locations. This information can be used by a fleet value add specialist to determine whether or not it is suitable for a vehicle to be replaced with a zero-emission vehicle. If an organization already has telematics installed on their vehicles, or already has a strong understanding of their vehicle's duty cycles, they may wish to proceed with the fleet assessment without telematics program stream. The rebate for a fleet assessment without telematics is 50% of eligible expenses up to a maximum of $3,000. The rebate for a fleet assessment with telematics is 50% of eligible expenses up to a maximum of $50,000. The outcome of your fleet assessment should be a report that summarizes when and what vehicles can be electrified, an order of magnitude of how much energy those vehicles would require once electrified, the cost of such a project, and a forecast of emissions reductions from going electric. Once a replacement plan is established, the charging infrastructure planning phase can begin. Here, we also offer financial support in the form of a zero-emission vehicle infrastructure assessment. The goal of the infrastructure assessment is to determine exactly what electrical modifications and what charging infrastructure is needed to support the fleet's future zero-emission vehicles. Municipalities, businesses, and nonprofits will be reimbursed for 50% of cost up to a maximum of $5,000 to complete an infrastructure assessment. In summary, the first 2 rebate categories support the planning of fleet electrification. The next 2 categories support calling in the trades and getting work done on real property. The third rebate category supports organizations with any electrical modifications that need to be done at the facility to support fleet electrification. This phase of the project is often referred to as an EV-ready or make-ready deployment. Tasks that could be done in this phase of the project are trenching parking lots, running conduits and wires, installing energized outlets, repaving parking surfaces, electrical service upgrades, and installing any other electrical infrastructure, such as new panels and meters. Successful applicants from municipalities, businesses, and nonprofits will be reimbursed for 33% of total cost up to a maximum of $20,000. To be eligible for this rebate, an organization will have to complete an infrastructure assessment. The final rebate category, and typically the last step in an organization's fleet electrification journey, is adding the charging infrastructure. Based on the appropriate charging infrastructure, the program will support both the supply and install of Level 2 and Level 3 charging infrastructure. Let's talk about Level 2 charging infrastructure first. Municipalities, businesses, and nonprofits will be reimbursed for the purchase and installation of eligible new Level 2 charging equipment at the rate of 75% of total costs up to a maximum of $5,000 per station. Rebates are capped at $50,000 per site. For DC fast chargers, also called Level 3 charging stations, the offer for municipalities, businesses, and nonprofits is broken up into two categories related to the power output of the DCFC. For DCFCs that output 20 to 49 kilowatts, the rebate will cover 75% of the cost, up to a maximum of $20,000. For DCFC chargers capable of delivering 50 kilowatts or more, the rebate would cover up to 75% of the cost, capped at a maximum of $75,000. That is the full rebate offering for the Go Electric Fleets program. In summary, the first two categories are about planning, the latter two categories are about calling in the trades and getting work done on real property. To apply, you will use our online application platform. The first step is to apply for pre-approval of your project. For your pre-approval application, you will need a couple of things. Firstly, each applicant will have to provide their West Coast Electric Fleets pledge letter. The pledge will have to be made at the express lane level. Other documents that an applicant organization will have to provide are proof of a business license, or for municipalities and organizations that do not have a business license, they'll have to provide some other evidence, such as a GST number, to verify their application. We will need to see evidence that you have vehicles registered in BC. Typically, the best way to provide that would be sending us a copy of the ICBC registration paperwork for one of your vehicles in the fleet that is registered to the organization. We will also need to see a letter from the applicant stating that they have permission to undertake the work at the facility. If the facility is a leased property, that permission will need to come from the property manager or landlord of the building. We will also ask for your organization's WorkSafe BC number. And finally, an itemized quote from your service provider. Once you have all those documents collected, you can submit for pre-approval. It is vital that you apply for pre-approval before going ahead on any projects. Any expenses incurred before pre-approval is awarded will not be eligible for rebates. Once pre-approval has been granted, you have the green light to complete the project. Once the project is completed and you have collected evidence of that and evidence that you have paid your contractor or service provider, you will upload that evidence in your final application submission, which we will review before issuing the rebate check. That concludes our guidance on the Clean BC Go Electric Fleet program. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the Zero Emission Vehicle Fleets Advisor at fleets@pluginbc.ca.